Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello and welcome to the October 18th edition of Basis Loaded with Joe Schmit. I am Joe Schmit. This episode, as always, is produced by Paige Driscoll with the help of the entire EverAg Insights team. What we do here is break down the latest from the NDPSR report. Let's start this week with butter. This butter number coming in at $328.54 is a big number. The CME moved 20 cents week to week. NDPSR keeping pace, moving 19.5. But what that means is we had negative basis last week and we have negative basis once again this week. That 328.54 is a minus 15 to the CME 1 week average of 343.55. We traded 8 loads on the exchange last week, so that might have pulled the average down somewhat, but this negative basis persists, and it'll be interesting as next week is the high for the 1 week average. If we see anything close to the 340 neighborhood, our volume here on the NDPSR falling short, so end users not exactly thrilled with the meteoric rise of spot butter prices. The reported sales volume here just a little bit north of 3 million pounds, so well under our expected 3.5 million pound benchmark. Up next is cheese. Starting with blocks, this block number at 181.64. This is a nice price. 181.64 is a plus 7 to the CME 1 week average of 174.65. The CME was down 7.5 cents week to week. Here it looks like about 6.5 cents down. So sticky price here on the NDPSR, holding that 7 cent positive basis, certainly impressive. Sales volume also coming back. North of 12 million pounds in the block. This is the first time in a long time that we've been able to have reported sales north of the 12 million pound level in the blocks. 2 loads traded on the CME last week, so not a lot of help there. All in all, I'd have to say that this is a really respectable block number, considering we have 7 over basis, anywhere from 2 to 3 times our expected positive basis, and volume levels. As prices have come lower, value shoppers have stepped back in, and volume levels approaching our expected 12.5 million pound level. In the barrels, 162.64, also a really nice price. That represents a plus 9 to the CME 2 week average of 153.57. Now, this is the low 2 week average in the barrel before the barrel market found its legs and started to work higher. So on the low of the move, you would expect higher than normal basis. Plus 9 certainly qualifies there, well above our expected 4 to 6 cent positive basis. Volume in the barrel, however, falling a little bit short after 1 week back at our expected 13.5 million pound level. This week, a little bit above 12.5 million pounds. So falling about 1 million pounds short on the volume. However, the manufacturer was able to call a really nice price with that 9 cent over positive basis. Up next is whey, 31.31. That represents a plus 1.5 to the CME weekly average of 29.70. But of course, in whey, we're always looking at prior week's NDPSR, the September 30th value of, let's call it 31 cents. So a little bit of a premium to prior week's NDPSR of 31 cents, but it's important to remember that we traded 70 loads on the CME last week. So that 70 loads essentially went in at a 31.85 level. That's 2.8 million pounds going in at 31.85 minus the freight. So call it 31. So prior week's NDPSR flat plus another 2.8 million pounds at 31. And we end up with a 31.31 weighted average price. Pretty impressive now that we're about 4 weeks over the 30 cent threshold in whey. You remember on the way down, we had massive sales volume on the NDPSR report. So you would take the 4.5 contracted level, add in the CME volume, and still come up 1 million pounds short. What's interesting here is at this 31.31 level, as I said, we traded 2.8 million pounds. Total volume, total sales volume on the NDPSR, only 5.8 million pounds. So that means that folks that were on min-max contracts in whey, looks like they leaned toward the minimum side, that 2.8 that we trade on the exchange. That means that we only have 3 million pounds of previous contracted sales. So falling well short of our expected 4.5. But when you add in all that weight at the CME, it certainly looks impressive. It'll be interesting to see how things shape up in the weeks to come as the CME spot whey market has taken another leg higher, and we really don't have the massive volume that we've had on the CME this week's relative to the prior weeks. So prices on the NDPSR will be based primarily off prior week's NDPSR, and the higher prices that we're seeing at the CME will carry a smaller and smaller percentage when determining the ultimate NDPSR weighted value price. And then up next, non-fat, 114.63. That's a -3 to the CME 1 week average of 117.55. So the CME was up 4. Folks in the real world said, not so fast, my friend. Traded just steady, short of 17 million pounds. So disappointing price and volume here on the NDPSR non-fat dry milk. So this is week 2 of 4 for the October pricing period. Currently getting an October class 3 of 16.90 with October class 4 all the way up at 21.55 if you carry current CME equivalents out through the entirety of the 4-week November pricing cycle. Currently getting a November class 3 of 17.55 with November class 4 all the way up at 21.80. Of course, this is just the beginning of the November pricing cycle. So still a lot of work to be done at the CME. We'll see what they have in store for us in the weeks to come. Until then, on behalf of Paige and the entire EverAg Insights team, I'm Joe. Thanks so much. See ya. Bye.